know that mental illness is on the rise, especially among young people in Ghana or even in our society, wherever you might find yourself? It's a situation that unfortunately we don't pay much attention to, because we think that unless you are sick, like as a disease or as an infection, you are not really sick. But a lot of us are going through a lot of mental illness, or we are ill mentally, that we need to pay so much attention to. Today I'll be speaking with Mr. Pascal Navel. In fact, anyhow, I mentioned it, and also Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins is a mental health nurse at the Tamale Central Hospital, and Mr. Pascal is the Executive Director for Mind and Health Foundation, an NGO doing so much amazing work in the area of mental health for people, especially in the northern region. We'll be helping us to understand everything mental health and how we can also get in touch with them for some of these services when we are down with mental illness or our disease. Thank you so much, Savannah International Academy, for supporting the Reflection Show, and also to the Northern Community Eye Hospital. Contact them. Their numbers are on the screen for the best kind of eye care services that you need. My name is Martha Anabila. Let's go for a break. When we are back, we delve in straight into the discussion. Do stay tuned.
Savannah International Academy is an international school located in Ghana. We award the Cambridge IGCSE and A-level certificate. Running parallel is SIA4, our curriculum enrichment program. SIA, nurturing the next generation of African leaders. SIA, thinking global, acting local. Give your child a holistic education at SIA. Contact us now.
Welcome back. It's still the discussion here on mental illness. So let's go straight into the discussion. Welcome to my studio, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes, I believe we've had you before on set, and I think we spoke so much about how we can be able to identify some of these. But I think that it's really still on the rise, and it's something that we need to look at. So I'll start with Pascal. Why is mental illness still a bother after so many education from NGOs and also from the government?
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thanks once again for having me on the show. Yes, indeed, mental health is still on the rise, particularly in Ghana, for a plethora of reasons. I would say that indeed the Ghana Health Service, the Mental Health Authority, other NGOs like Mind and Health doing this bit. However, for a change to take effect, it depends on the individual.
Okay.
So what it simply means is that for every individual on this planet, particularly in Ghana, has it as a responsibility to ensure that you have a perfect, or better still, a good well-being or a mental health. So now, particularly, there are quite a lot of educational programs on the television. There are quite a lot of educational programs in churches. There are quite a lot of educational programs in schools. But however, there's still a rise of mental health cases. So one of the reasons could be due to the fact that people taking the information and they go to sleep over it. And what does this mean if I say people taking the information and they go to sleep over it? What this simply means is that people take and choose what they want to keep, and what they don't want to.
Okay.
And why is this so? It is simply because people are not seeing the direct effects or the impact of mental illness in the economy.
Okay.
So for instance, I'll give you some few examples. Ghana, with a population of about 30 million people, we have about 13% of the population is mental health illness in Ghana.
Okay.
So you could be looking at approximately maybe 3% having mild to severe forms of mental illnesses, and the other forms of mental illnesses represent around 10%. So that is quite a huge population.
Wow.
Just look at these numbers and look at what it may have on the GDP. People are very much interested in taking effects on things like maybe malaria, precautions of malaria, because someone may not be interested in taking the jabs for malaria. Someone may not be interested in the anti-malarias that the person may be swallowing when the person has malaria. And the person may see the direct effect in the weaknesses of the body that the person may experience. However, if you're looking at issues of depression, anxiety, these are things that exist very commonly within our society. However, unfortunately, we do not tend to see them because we only associate mental illnesses to the people we see on the streets, gathering containers and gathering all forms of rubbish in bags and walking around. So I think that this could be one of the main reasons why there are still quite a lot of cases that are still rising up in our country.
Colin, so as young people, what are some of the things that you think that affect our mental health that we probably did not or do not even pay much attention to?
All right, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. So when we want to talk about mental health, it goes with mental illness. So a mental illness is our main focus because these are wide ranges of conditions that affect your mood, your affect your way of thinking and your behavior as a whole. So looking at how this usually occurs. Now, with a total population of this country, which we've already estimated about 21,000 people in this country. Yes, over 30 million now. So from the World Health Organization, now about 655,000 maybe ranging with people with severe mental illness.
Wow.
While the 21,166 maybe ranging with moderate to mild mental illness. Now, as we rightly said, a lot of people might have taken mental illness for granted.
Okay.
Let me give you a classical example. Usually at the world level, people do not really necessarily think that when you have a mental condition, it would go a long way to affect another person that may not be physically, or should I say mentally, having that same condition. Like maybe someone has malaria. Malaria in its own sense is a physical condition, but that will manifest it to a mental condition. That is why usually when you are growing up and maybe infants do develop malaria, we tell mothers or breastfeeding mothers that you have to take precaution because the temperature that the child may be running, you mustn't just overlook it, thinking that it's just the normal baseline. But you have to seek immediate care or intervention because when heat or the heating regulating system of the medulla oblongata, it becomes
medulla oblongata. No, I'm just kidding.
So that's just the heating regulating system of our brains. So with that of a kid or a child, when that is overheated, it may manifest to things like seizures. That is why we have what we call
just for malaria.
Yes, just for malaria.
Wow.
So you see, it's not just because malaria is something that.
No, I'm saying just because I think apart from today, I didn't really think that something like that could result into that. So I think that is something that a lot of us should really pay attention to.
Absolutely. So things of such, you mustn't underrate it. You need to seek immediate medical care so that it doesn't manifest to other psychotic symptoms. Okay. Another example is, let's say when a woman is in labor, for instance, the method or the way in which health is being administered to her before even the unborn baby is delivered. That one alone, for instance, infection could set in. And when a lady, or should I say a woman in her pregnancy lifestyle, do not take precautions, when infection sets in, it goes all away or all along to infect the unborn baby. And when the baby is being delivered, he or she may have other symptoms of something like cerebral palsy, epilepsy, or any form of neurological condition, which goes a long way to affect us.
Well, it's personally it's a new thing to me. I didn't know that some of these illnesses really had a long way. So if to make it easier, it means that what's the word I'm looking for? Unmanaged sickness or diseases malaria, fever, COVID-19, and etc. If they are not managed properly, it can also transmit or cause mental illness.
It's not necessarily malaria, just the normal stresses of life.
Okay.
For instance, we would observe that a lot of the Ghanaian population love to work or overwork.
Oh, well, we need
Exactly.
to chop.
Yes, others may say that it's not their fault because they need to chop, in quotes. However, the body itself is a machine. And once it's a machine, it needs a certain bit or a grace period of time to relax or to rest. So in as much as you want to overuse it, obviously it will break down. You understand? And accumulated stress may lead to what? A serious mental illness. Okay? And that one alone will go another long way to affect another person. Because not that it is being transmitted, it's a communicable disease. But then, if for instance one person in our population is affected by mental illness, obviously it will go a long way to affect another person. Let me give you a classical example. Just like last 2 weeks, we were just driving on the streets of, what do you call it, Tamale, when a gentleman started, making himself. He was with a cutlass while standing in the middle of the road. So you could imagine the effect or the long-term effects. For instance, we were not there to see the end result of it, but obviously the fellow was becoming very aggressive. He was chasing people with a cutlass.
Yeah, people might even run into other cars, have accidents.
Then that will lead to another, another form of what do I call it? Serious thing that affects the country as a whole. So that is why we keep telling people that when an individual is affected with mental illness, globally it affects you in one way or the other. Because looking at the examples we have given or have just cited, if for instance you see maybe any of your relatives that is being mentally challenged, we don't say mad, but we say mentally challenged. If any of them is being mentally challenged and it hurts anybody on the street, it becomes, in quotes, a foolish case. Because the law backs them. Because these are people that are not of their normal senses.
That's true.
But then the crime has been committed. Okay, so that is why we have to pay attention to what most of the mental illness we do have or the mental related conditions that we have.
What are the major causes that you think for young people? I think you've mentioned a few of them about stress, we need to chop and etc. Pascal, like, what are some of the things that you think we should pay attention to that would be very damaging to our mental health as young people?
Yeah, thank you very much. One of the things to start with is you need to appreciate self-love. That is priority. So I think that as young people, every individual has the responsibility to love himself or herself. That is key. And once you show much love to yourself, this will go a long way to actually put you in a position not to harm yourself through day-to-day activities. On a daily basis, the stresses of life are things within our country at this moment that is probably, if not, but highly impossible to do away with. However, there are ways through which we should be able to manage these stresses in life. And this can go a long way to be able to actually support our well-being. Aside self-love, it's very important to also know yourself. In knowing yourself, you're able to tell if there are some triggers that probably are not normal within yourself. And that is the only way that you can be able to seek help. Also, showing love to yourself by going to the hospital or seeking appropriate and timely care is very, very important. I'll give you an example. I know of an individual somewhere outside this country who obviously had some forms of mental illness. Now, how did this person realize that he suffered from a particular form of a mental illness? This was because when this person got in touch with me to have a conversation about how he felt about his well-being, he was quick to diagnose himself with a mental illness. And the question I put to him was, what makes you think you have diagnosis A or diagnosis B? And he was quick to say, yes, I know myself. And this is what has been normal for me over the period. So for things to drift this way, it's a clear example that I have developed diagnosis A or B. which falls in line with the classical classification
Yeah.
of diagnosing A or B.
Okay.
That is a typical example. Now, I'm not sure, maybe in this part of our country, how many people may show much interest in. Stress has got its major effects in our lives, but sometimes we see this as normal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you realize that life expectancy among the people in Ghana particularly is of worry. I'm sure over the past couple of months, especially this year, you and I would have seen a lot of young people pass on with the pictures all over social media.
Yeah,
within our
23,
immediate-
21,
within our
26.
immediate
There's this one that
environment.
even got me so heartbroken. You know, recently the medical students just graduated.
Yeah.
And in less than a month after graduation, going through and calling himself a doctor, 26 years old young guy.
Yeah.
He's passed on.
Yes, unfortunately, throughout this year, I can count a very unfortunate number of people I know who probably passed at a very young age. So you can imagine these are very productive ages that are leaving the scene. Why? Why is that the case? There could be very physical and mental health related issues to their deaths. But very often, what we tend to do is we tend to associate a lot more of our deaths, especially within our context, to spirituality. We are not very much interested in digging more through some any forms of investigation to ascertain the causes of deaths for some of our relatives, and we draw conclusions to.
And how
some
many of
forms
us even go for
spirituality.
autopsy?
Yes, that is a very good thing that we look at. And we go back, you realize that a particular generation at a point in time is being wiped away, possibly because of a particular physical condition that has manifested into a mental health condition that has led to them. And because there are no statistics or data to be able to show, we just assume that, oh, what are these people within their community?
Especially last year.
Especially last year. It's just so much of a problem. So I think that it is very important for people to prioritize their well-being by knowing what is normal for them and what is not normal for
Do
them.
you think we are putting so much pressure on ourselves because we are like, at 25, I need to get this. By this age, I need to get this. And especially some of you who will not let us rest. Every day, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? We don't want to hear that kind of question again. So please, let us rest. As a young lady, as a young, okay, at least you the guys cry, you are better. But as a young lady, as long as you hit 24, 25, hey, when are you getting married? And when are you getting married? And this your friend have done this, and this your friend have done that. Abba, I don't want anyone to give any mental illness. Until the time is right, we'll get married. Let's go for a break. I'll be back shortly.
Praise the Lord. Whoa. Yeah. Are you ready? Okay.
Like a rainbow, so my life made colorful. If you don't know, a life with this man is beautiful. Sing to the glory of
Oh, yeah, sing to the glory of God.
Sing to the glory of
Oh, yeah, sing to the glory of God.
It's He I know. Everywhere I go, it's He I see. Anything I do, it's He I go. Seeking first all things you shall get.
Welcome back. You know, in 2019, I went to visit a friend and she had just delivered. So, and when I got there, her mother was like, hey, so she said it in that Bani, but let me just say it in English. She was like, hey, Martha, so you haven't gotten a man yet. And, you know, she's a mother figure. So I was like, oh, man, no. And she was like, you are keeping long. Look at your friend. She's married now. She has a child. You are delaying. And that was the last time I stepped my foot into their house, because when I got home, I'm the kind of person that I'm a very bubbly person. I want to have fun and think and plan and do a lot of charity things. But I broke down and I got so emotional. And you know, at that moment, I began to think, hey, is it I'm not beautiful enough? Hey, how come that my friends are getting married and I'm not married? How come that like this is happening? And we have a lot of those. And sometimes I have people calling me for meetings and they want to advise me on how I should carry myself to attract a man, how I should talk on TV so that guys will not think that I'm proud, how I should do this, and I should cut down on the kind of work I do, because guys don't like women who are overly confident, and that I shouldn't. And I was joking with someone that wants to buy a car. I was like, oh, no, don't buy a car now, wait until you are married. I'm like, Charlie, I don't have the money yet. If I have, but you see, we put like, and those times sincerely, maybe I'll diagnose myself. I had mental disease, or yes, because there was so much pressure on my mind that I began to think that if I stop doing matter insights on date, if I stop doing TV, if I stop doing radio, if I stop doing the things that I do, then that was really going to help me. But I realized that this is what I really love to do. When I guy loves to do love. So in that regard, we're in Africa. What can you tell people watching us right now that is putting so much stress on people, especially those who are married and they can't even have children at the time that people are expecting them to?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. I'll first of all start by saying that this is an issue of discussion that I am very passionate about. Yes, unfortunately in our system, all this contributes hugely to the burden of mental illness in Ghana. Surprisingly, we may see it as a joke.
Yeah.
But if you have to do a quick survey, and with the level of data that I come across, the number of young people with depression and anxiety related to issues of this sort is quite alarming. Unfortunately, elderly people, so to put, some of our elderly people have failed to understand that there are differences and changes in the trends. The lifestyle of the past 10 years is different from the lifestyle of today. And all this contributes to stresses in life. There are a lot of young people who are out there fully seriously depressed because of the pressures alone in wanting to find a man.
Yeah.
Or because of the pressures of wanting to find a woman.
No, but you men is better. You men is better. I think it counts when you're about 35.
See,
but about 24, I think at 22, I started having that pressure.
I think that it's not a good thing for our system. There is a book that I would urge all people to read, especially our parents or very elderly people in our society, known as the Mindset Revolution, authored by one Oscar Bimpo. Yes, okay. By one Oscar Bimpo. It's a very interesting book that I would encourage people to read. Why? Because it delves very much into our mindset, and that is what we need, especially within our generation, because there is so much stresses or pressures on us that is leading us to lots of mental illnesses. Right. So now that book, just to cite a bit of insight from that book. Now it makes references to the differences in times and the advantages of times as well. That is to say, the days of Adam and the days of Martha and Abila and ourselves, which comes with its own pressures. So what that means is that at this stage in time, what we'll be expecting to do is that we see ourselves in a more competitive world. And when we tell ourselves as individuals that we are in a competition with anybody or everybody, we contribute to our own stresses.
Yeah.
I think that as a generation, we need to first of all acknowledge that one, the fingers are not the same, as often said in our
so it's like I want to be better than Pascal,
yes,
instead of being better than Martha that I was last year.
That's correct. I think that you need to be, if you decide to be in a competition, I would advise or encourage you to be in a competition with yourself, but not with any other person. And that minimizes your level of stress. Now, a lot of people have put themselves in that category of people and they find themselves in that. It is okay not to be married. The reality and the
Please
facts
say it
on the
again.
ground is that
I'm not saying I don't want to get married, but I'm
it's
just saying
not-
that don't pressure me.
it's
Like,
not everybody in this world that is born to marry. It's not everybody in this world that is born to have children. It is not everybody in this world that is born to have a successful marriage. People are born to be single all the days of their lives. People are born to marry and not have children. People are meant to marry and have children. So it is not an issue of choice and what you decide that you do. It's a giving. And that is why for those of us that believe in faith, we always say that it's a gift from God.
yeah, like
You don't gift yourself.
Yeah.
You gift it's a gift from God.
Yeah, and sometimes
So-
you don't know what life happens to you. You can be an extremely good person, but like you are saying, if in how God created you, if children are not part of His plan for you, I don't think you'd ever have children.
I know of people who, in their old age, they've buried all their children.
Yeah, that's it.
Unfortunately, I tend to observe that the mentality for a lot of us as Ghanaians or Africans is that you need to have children so that when you grow old, they'll look after you. It is not the exact case. It is not always a case. It is not a contract between you and children that once you deliver,
And
they
take
grow
care
to
of
look after you. It is not. You could have your children, they're all out of the country.
What
and you are
happened?
alone. You probably don't want to go out of the country.
Yeah.
Looking after you may come in different forms. Is it only about the monetary? Some parts of the world, a lot of elderly people are very lonely and isolated.
Yeah,
And that
it's
in
not
itself
money
is
they
a
look
form
for,
of,
yeah.
it's not money they look for. But within our context, if you have all of these things in place, we do not tend to appreciate. But yet we think that it is only the children that you will deliver that will look after you. It doesn't happen that way. And that is one of the reasons that causes all the unnecessary stress. But for me, I would say that everybody is born on this earth to make an impact. And I said, when you've created an impact that you wish for yourself, you are doing amazing well with the good works you are doing. It's equivalent to having children. It's equivalent to being married.
I have a lot of children.
Yes,
but
it's
not
equivalent to being
biological,
married.
yeah.
It's
But
not
you
about
see, yes, but you see, people would just say, "Oh, you are doing well." I think on my birthday, I went out to have a party with I think over 100 kids,
Yeah.
and I got the comments, "You are doing well." I was like, "Oh, like it was nice," but you see, people will still place value on me when I have biological children. They will not see that the children that we are able to give books to, healthcare to, or things to. Why?
All right, so let me just add to what Mr. Pascal was saying. When you look at the world you and I have found ourselves in, we have realized that each and everyone has a different form of examination to write. Now, in this 21st era, or this, how will I say, this era you and I have found ourselves, most of us have failed to identify ourselves. And that is why Sigmund Freud will tell you that the ability for you to identify yourself makes it about 60% of a healthy life. Because your ego itself is an identification that you know what you are about. A lot of us these days live a fake life. And most of the youth of today, we are into what? Media fanatics.
Yeah, social media.
Social media. Oh, this lady is looking beautiful. She has gone to do A, she has gone to do B. Ask yourself these questions. What is her source of income?
I don't want to know. I want to know how much she got.
Exactly. What is her history? Did she get it on a silver platter? How did she acquire all these things? If you are able to answer these questions genuinely, you realize that the world is not so much a competitive world as we are seeing it. Because as we all know, all these things are vanity. But then, in someone's way of reasoning, it is not vanity, it is self-pleasure. But the rate at which a lot of we the youth are, getting so severely mentally
I
challenged.
want to have a car at 24.
Exactly. It's
But he's been
it's
working
fearful.
for over 10 years with Ghana Health Service, and he has a car, but I want to copy him.
Good. A lady just gave an example who came to our facility and was so depressed. She thought marriage was all about, oh baby, hello, hi, and those things. But when she got to it, she realized it was a different ball game together. This lady, when she wakes up, the husband has to inflict pain on her. It was more or less like a form of torture, a form of
Emotional
slavery.
pain.
So you ask yourself, once I'm not yet married, or once B is not married or A is not married, but I consider myself glorified because I'm not going through slavery.
Yeah.
I'm not going through what? Torture.
And there are lots of girls or women that I know that as soon as they get married, they are unable to work, they're unable to fulfill purpose. And sometimes but they make us feel that they are better than us.
Good. It is because that is how society
So has
is
made
making
it.
it look. Those days of Adam and Eve is not those days of this current generation.
Is Oprah married?
Well, I can't really best
I know
tell.
she's engaged. But before
Exactly.
that now,
But even before
yeah,
that,
she was still a very influential
Child
woman. And
person.
people really admired
and
her.
you see, there are so many ways of making differences. You don't necessarily need to get married, then you become fulfilled. Self-fulfillment itself depends, it's subjective. Just like they say riches or wealth is subjective. I can sit down this way, I don't have cars, numerous cars, but then inwardly I'm wealthy or I'm rich.
I'm richer than you in that one.
Exactly. You get the point.
Yeah.
So the ability for you to identify your purpose or yourself will not lead you into certain competitions.
Do you think our parents are also adding up to the problem?
Yes.
Because for me, I don't know if you still remember the story. My father wanted me to be a teacher or a nurse or go to the immigration or do something, but I said no. And it got to a time that the relation between my parents and I was a very bad, because it's like I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do. So even financially, they cut me off.
Yes. So one of them here, I would say.
And that one was serious. I actually got into depression, like serious one.
Yes.
Do you think that parents can play a role in
They
making
can.
sure? Yeah.
They can play a very vital role in the development, even when you get to your youthful age. They can still play a role. A parent is always a parent. But the ability for them to understand that their era is very different from this era is something they have to take into consideration. You don't expect that those days they marry, give birth to 10, 11 football team. In this 21st era, if you marry and you give birth to 1, 2, how is it like? Comparing to the economic hardships. But you see, because they are not able to identify that, they keep giving you pressure. So a lot of you that are so feeble-minded, they rather stick to it and they break down. They are compelled to marry people they are not happy about.
Yeah.
And it happens here.
And the families, because maybe his family, you are friends with him, so your children grow, so then your son must marry his daughter.
Exactly. And that is what has been happening. And it has caused a lot of harm in our society. A lot of youth, should I say females, are being depressed 24/7. People are committing suicide. People are abusing substances like alcohol because they think that once I am depressed or once I am feeling this, let me get over it. Let me go to the nearest bar to get some K20 Alumo bitters, then I'll be fine. Then before you realize, it ends up in what? An accident.
Or rape. Or being a victim
or
of
any
rape.
form of unacceptable behavior in society. Then they end up, when you go to the prison services now, you realize that majority are the youth.
Yeah.
You ask, what is it? I raped someone's daughter. I tortured someone's daughter. Or A has done this to the other, which has gone a long way to affect majority of, the mental illness we have in this country. And yet people just downplay it because once in my family I don't have it, why would I be bothered about Mr. B's family who has it? Forgetting that it goes a long way. It goes a long way because it's like a cycle.
Yeah.
It goes gradually before you realize you are also in it. So I think our parents should have that patience. They should rather try to nurture us very well by telling us that our fingers are very far different.
Yeah.
You understand? And our sisters and our brothers who keep going on social media, looking at their colleagues and trying to compare. Ask yourself these questions. Some of our colleagues are dead. Are you dead? Some are in the prison yard. Are you in the prison yard? Some of
like the one who was saying that your friend is married, and I said, oh, I have a book. Have my friend written a book, and the person got offended. Because sometimes people want to compare. Oh, Martha, this your friend is married. This your friend I've gotten. I was like, okay, I have a book. I have an organization. I have my own productions, a TV show. Then that was when I decided not to be depressed again. So when you bring one, I bring you my achievement. And people started going back saying that I'm being rude and I'm being bossy and I'm being too overconfident. But because if you want me to feel bad, I'll let you feel more bad, because it's not easy to write a book.
You see,
but it's I want us to go for a break, and then when we come back, we will delve in more. But we just want you to understand that stop giving people pressure. That is the most important thing, because you yourself, you are contributing to people having to go through a lot of mental illness. So if the person dies, you are a murderer indirectly. Was that hot? Ask yourself. Let's go for a break. We'll be back. Understanding the importance of the eye will help you identify the best measures to stay healthy and not be a victim to visual impairment or going totally blind. At the Northern Community Eye Hospital here in Tamale, it's our mandate to give your eyes the best care it needs. Our experts are experienced and on standby to give you the best treatment or surgery where necessary. In our facility, we have modern equipment and amazing experts who understand the need to give you nothing but the best care to improve your vision. The Northern Community Eye Hospital services include eye screening for need of eyeglasses, for diabetes, glaucoma, and for all other eye diseases, lasers, including a new glaucoma treatment that saves you from anti-glaucoma eye drops. We are the only eye care facility with this machine. Eye services for children, screening for individuals and staff of corporate organizations. We have a large variety of beautiful eyeglasses, both for vision and reading, and also sunglasses. We equally do delivery of eyeglasses to every part of Ghana and beyond. We sell all necessary eye medicines in our pharmacy at an affordable price. Our working hours are from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 10 a.m. to 12 noon on public holidays. Reach us on 059-2580-019 or 037-202-8610. We are located on the Sanargu Road, 400 north of Stadium Runabout.
Nimba yinga kanda za kana ka patide nyele babanga yema ka kulu de keto shel no so chet kan ku de la la fi hal de bi ya zo de ben mon de bi sha bi kun na ale ali akwai ndam na to kula de kan na manda de sha zo kan ban ni yele mabe ban mani na dorte botan ban manga ka zaha kana ntele mon da la fi zo Sanar Russo, I can look at the Canada of the Dala Future, into a papa.
Welcome back from the break. It's very interesting here behind the scenes. But it's just simple. Stop asking people when they're going to have children. Stop asking people when they are going to get married. And I'm just praying that the people I want them to watch this episode that they are watching, please, I'm telling you, stop asking me when I'm so young. I still have like some few years to still be single and over there. And one important thing that I think that make people depressed is comparing their academics to their colleagues, because I have been a victim of that, and I didn't ask myself that I don't even know what I've even used my certificate to do. I don't know. Because I began my own organization, and that's what I've been doing. I've never been to any office and maybe they ask that maybe my certificate becomes a requirement. Maybe a true conversation, they ask, okay, which school did you attend and all of that. but they don't say that it should be a requirement before they give me that sponsorship or that partnership. I'm not saying that you can't use your certificate. I'm just saying don't put so much pressure on yourself. There's this, is it DEC or is it SSC? What's the students who committed suicide because they had the bet he's going to have 8 A's or is it 9 A's and he didn't get that, so he committed suicide. Some to their parents started insulting them, but they didn't commit suicide, but they were so depressed. And I'm like, and I think there was this minister who said that our education system is also a big factor. So somebody wants to go and read French in the university, and because they have B7 in maths and English, you don't give them admission. How does maths contribute to me reading French? So I think that let's look at most of these 3 core areas.
All right. So let me just say something about this. If you realize our educational system, it is more of children poor. And a lot of people do not really understand when they say you are intelligent. Intelligent is not about rattling. It's not about the first person who emerges science and who emerges in the science and maths fields.
Yeah.
You would realize that even those who they have tagged as the very brilliant ones, when they go outside, as in like to compete with the outside world, you realize that they are a failure.
Even the science and maths piece, mistress, she said
it.
Yeah.
You understand? So this is just to tell our people that our educational system should really be evaluated. It should really be evaluated. And I'm quoting it, and I'm saying it again that it should be re-evaluated. Look at the developed countries. They are not so much into books, but more of practical.
Oh, if I was at I'd have had first class.
Exactly.
I don't have
more
first
of the
class.
practical experience.
Yeah.
But here in our case, they make you look as if you don't get a core marks in the A or B, you are not part of humanity, or you don't contribute significantly to humanity. You understand? And putting such pressures on the youth, obviously they become so depressed. They think that once nobody values me and I'm already a failure in life, which people already attest to that fact, then I think the only best way for me to do that is rather to commit suicide. And that is why you keep seeing from the previous years that suicide is always on the rampant. Not basically for only students.
Yeah.
When you go to the security services, and I think Mind and Health Foundation have already written some articles about some security services that have committed suicide. And
ahead of the policeman.
Exactly. And it still keeps happening. And so let me say that the government, or should I say this country, everybody pretends to be a blind eye or a deaf, that's of it, which goes a long way to affect us. You understand? Like for instance, as we said, when you look at the health sector, a lot of the mental health conditions or related conditions, how many psychiatrists do we have? You get that thing? As of last year,
at TT, I think they're not even up to 3.
As of last year, we had about 38 psychiatrists.
The whole of
Ghana. And imagine the ratio or the staggering population of that gap, about 98% of gap treatment. So it means that if maybe in every population, maybe in that category,
that's like almost 1 million to one person.
One person, or 800,000 to one person, which is a daunting task. You get that? So I would always say that mental health, let's really look at it to be something very appreciative. Let's look at it to be something that is an emergency. Obviously, it's an emergency, but the rate at which people look at it.
Yeah, it's so
imagine
low.
I can come this way, tell you that A has diabetes. I'm okay to say that. B has hypertension. It's normal to say that. But once you just say someone has a mental condition,
they think
like
you are mad, and you can't even say. I believe there was a time I was like, I'm depressed. Like my friend come out for the how are you? Because when I come out, I'm so bubbly everywhere. I'm talking to making a lot of noise and want to be friends with everyone. So people don't actually believe, and I think that's also one of the things that kills. Yeah, Pascal.
That's correct. Just to add to what Collins was saying, I would always place much emphasis on the mindset. So for me, I'm on a movement, as I always say, which is the mindset reposition. Until we begin to change our mindset in everything that we do as Ghanaians, I'm afraid that we may continue to struggle in a lot of things that we do. Now, if you look at our academic calendar, or if you look at the structure of our academics in this country, the competition starts from the very early stages. So by nature, or as someone would say, by default, we are grown to be competitive. In that you always want to be first in everything. And the question you should be asking yourself is, what happens? And so, what?
That's the thing, yeah.
Now, I would use myself as an example. I was fortunate or blessed to have had an academic experience outside the shores of Ghana. And from very practical experiences, my observation was very interesting. Now I realized that a lot of African students were highly competitive.
Wow.
So, whereas our counterparts from the West may be less competitive, but interested in rationale as to why things are done the way they are done, analysis and being critical, problem solving, and all of that. Now, the typical African or Ghanaian student is interested in being first. However, he becomes first, as to whether he knows it or not, but he wants to be first because that is what he values. And like Collins mentioned, it is a shame how we measure intelligence of individuals.
Yeah.
And that is why we assume that people who are medical doctors in this country are lesser gods than other people. Sorry to say. These are some of the things that we see, because assume that they pick the very best students into that category of profession. So you are looking out for people who have got grade 6. You are counting the 8 A's or 6 A's. I don't know what it is now. I'm not very familiar with the structure
8 A's, yeah.
But it's all about
A1.
counting 8 1s, 7 1s, or 7 A's or whatever. And so what about that? Then you put these people in the medical school and they come out as doctors. The question you ask yourself is, these are supposed to be the very best. When they find themselves in the medical school, do they have who being last?
Yes, that's the thing. And they are able to, my assistant is in the second year in the medical school, and she was telling me that when they go to school, like first semester, you know, they take like first 8 A's or all the A's, and at the end of the semester, most of them had failed at all. And some of them were crying, some of them were in pain, because some of them even said that their parents actually forced them to do medicine.
And you see, all these structures, it happens not because it needs to happen, but because that is what we've grown to know or to learn. You start from a very early stage, you go to a kindergarten, you come home. What position were you? Your mom or your dad is asking.
That's the first
thing. I was first. Oh, well done, I'll buy you this.
And they'll buy you uniform, they'll buy you drink,
they'll buy you all the stuff that you can think
about.
And what
besides you, if you are in a compound house, and all the children are in one school, or you have about 5 or 6 of you in one class in a compound house, and you are last, they'll do the party in front of you and make sure that you are being hooted at. Oh, some people didn't get first. Oh, you are a good girl, that kind of thing.
And all these things starts with the demotivation. All this starts with some forms of trauma, because I know of people who didn't perform well at their very early stages. And they still have that trauma because they were either hooted at, they were shamed at, they were mocked at so much that they cannot still even do away with the pain.
Yeah.
So all these competitions starts from that stage and it grows up. Very much contributed by our parents, because they want to be sure that you are first, or you are second, or you are last, and then that will determine what they would have to give you. You see. So for me, until we begin to change...
Kids, I know people tell their kids that when you get a first class, I'm going to buy you a car.
That's correct, yes.
And they are aiming at car.
I think that as an institution or as a country, we need to be focused in allowing people that freedom to be able to do things they are comfortable to do in the best way possible and in the comfortable way possible that can enhance their well-being. Otherwise, the stresses of wanting people to be very competitive also adds up to some forms of mental health issues, which I think that it is not good for young people and especially for this country.
This country, are we still patriotic?
We are very patriotic. I'm very sure that
sometimes I actually doubt myself, because you actually want to be patriotic, but you enter somewhere And it's like your patriotism is not giving you the thing you deserve. So you have to do something.
Yes.
Pascal, your final words.
Yes. So I just want to say that as an organization, Mind and Health, which was incorporated with the mandate of providing mental health advocacy, research and consultancy, we are very committed as an organization to supporting the good cause of the well-being of its citizens, particularly in Ghana, and to be able to ensure that we have a productive young nation, contributing to the development of this country with less stress. We can't do away with stress. There are norms of life, but the rate at which it goes become an issue. So as an organization, we are open to supporting people through advocacy programs. As we are aware, we have advocacy programs. One of it is what we're doing at the moment, through the television, radio stations, through some other forms of social media. We have community dinners, we speak to people in churches and what have you. We believe that mental health literacy is key to making a great change or an impact within our country. And so people begin to understand what really mental health is and what that means to the development of this country. I'm afraid we may be going back to the very past.
Okay.
So thank you very much for having us on your show.
Thank you for coming.
And we are hoping that we continue to do our little best to contribute to the success of mental health delivery in Ghana.
Great.
All right. So just to wrap up, I would like to encourage every youth not to bow his head in shame. If you are facing any form of challenges, especially psychological, do not hesitate. Walk into any form of health center. People are there to attend to you. Seek the right treatment. Don't listen to people who are telling you that it is based on spirituality or enemies and witches and wizards or what
demons
are chasing you and whatever. Just go to the right people and the right treatment will be meted out for you. That notwithstanding, the social pressures that we, the youth, are struggling day in and day out to overcome each other. Just identify yourself and your mental health will be a continuous process. Thank you.
Just be able to understand that, you see, our fingers are not the same. And I started with some people, they are above me, I'm above some people. And life hasn't ended yet. The last 5 years, some people saw me and they felt that they had gone beyond me. Today, they see me and they feel like I have gone beyond them. You don't know, in a twinkle of an eye, life can change. When I began the reflection show, I would get an episode where maybe I'll interview myself and let you understand that beginning small is actually very productive. A lot of people did not believe in me, but they see me today and they are inspired, even adults. I'm saying this because I have been depressed before. I have been through a season of pain in my life that I didn't think I was going to survive it. Because parents and society were against me because I didn't want to be a nurse or a doctor or even at the security service. But I don't know how I did it. I don't know. Maybe it's God, maybe because I believe in myself or etc. But today I want you to know that don't let any kind of pressure, especially on marriage. I know people that have even rushed into relationships and the way their boyfriends beat them, just because another guy called them. And I keep saying, Martha, if you want to beat me, I'm back. What part of my body are you going to beat? But I'm just saying this because sometimes when you are single, it brings you so much joy. It brings you so much opportunities. If you've read my book, Inspiration for Purpose, you will understand that I used about from 2012 to 2019 to write that book. It has a lot of information in there. You can get it on www.africanreach.org or contact us on our numbers and you can get a copy. That book help you to understand that don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself with anyone. So please make sure that you become the best version of yourself and become better in 2022 than you were in 2021. Don't look at Martha or Pascal and Collins and say, I want to be better than them. We have our own journey. And I remember there was a time that after the Youth Empowerment Summit, I want to do a program and have like 2,000 people. And I was like, before I could have 2,000 people at my event, I started having 200 people at my event. I started small. I didn't even have up to 500 people at my event, but we grew. And now we have over 2,000 even on social media, even in live on TV. But I have done this for 6 years. But you can't just wake up today and want to be better than me. It's possible for that to happen. It's very possible. But I'm just saying that don't be heartbroken because you did an event and it didn't go on well. Be better than you were yesterday. Savannah International Academy, thank you very much for supporting us. Northern Community Eye Hospital event happening. Thank you very much for all the support. You can also support the Reflection Show, partner with us and be a sponsor. 05495788512. Get the contact on the screen. Give us a call and we give you amazing and wonderful packages. My name is Martha Anabila. Thank you for watching the Reflection Show. We will keep giving you the best of education and information. Have a good night. Hello and welcome to Thoughts from Martha Inspires. My name is Martha Anabila. Today I want to share with you what I have titled The Whisper of Purpose. A lot of us as we are growing up are a bit confused on actually what we want to do or what God wants us to do. Some of us don't even know how our lives or our potentials are going to unfold. Some of us have identified our purpose or our mandate. We are working in it or walking in it, but because of criticism and the things people are saying, we are broken. Sometimes people want to give us all the ideas and it looks like what we are doing is the wrong thing. Purpose comes to us as whispers. God communicates to only us. God shares the idea to only us. Nobody is standing by you when God is talking to you. So when you are executing the mandate or the purpose, I want you to be hard on yourself. When I say being hard on yourself, I mean be focused. You can take mentorship. You can take advices, you can take opinions or ideas, but do not draft away from the main focus that God has given you because it came to you as a whisper. It was just for you to hear. It's like looking at somebody to whisper to the person, maybe, oh, how are you? Or give me this money, or it's a secret. Unless the person says it to other people, they will not know what someone else told you. That is how God communicates to us. If you are watching today, I want you to sit down, reflect on your mandate, reflect on what you think or you know God has brought you into this world to do. And don't be driven away by the comments of people, by the distractions of people, because it will always pull you down. I have been a victim of people's opinions, and sometimes they make me feel that I am worthless. They make me feel like I'm not doing something right, and sometimes I have been away from what God really wants me to do. And I go round, and I come back to what God wants me to do. So like I said, have a mentor, have role models, look up to people, but you have the original idea. If you are executing the original idea, make sure that sometimes your ears are closed to all the things people will say to you, because if you want to listen to them, you will not achieve all the things or even anything you want to achieve. I am so passionate about young people. As a young person, what do you want to be in future? What do you want to achieve? Unfortunately, sometimes people look at us and think that we are not worth it. Do not believe them. I want you to pursue your mandate, pursue your vision, and believe that you are an amazing person, because purpose is sweet, purpose is amazing, purpose is beautiful, but purpose will come to you with so much challenges. It will come to you with so much distractions. And when it does, identify that and know that that is purpose, and don't give up. If you have to cry, of course cry. If you have to be wary, of course be. But please and please and please don't give up, because when you give up, the people that teased you, those who laughed at you, will come and say you are a nobody. People would always want to be close to people that we think they are somebodies. Do you want to be somebody? If your answer is yes, then please keep moving on. It is tough, it is hard, but the whisper of purpose came to you alone. Don't listen to what others are saying to pull you down. Listen to the encouragement. Thank you for watching this episode on Thoughts from Martha Inspires. I believe that this will give you another mindset. It will inspire you and propel you to be a great person. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned to amazing episodes of Thoughts from Martha Inspires. My name is Martha Anabila. Goodbye.